It is the Tenso. Playing as the Lord General today on Calderis Desert with his guardsman lollygagging over to the natural power over on this side. He's going to be facing off against Flo as the Force Commander. Sending his scouts on the right, so the question is, will the Sentinel come out and head toward these scouts? Actually, I guess with garrisons and stuff, you'd actually prefer the Sentinel to meet the Force Commander. The problem is you don't really want to meet the Tax, and generally the Tax are going to be located near the Force Commander, because having your hero and your Tax together as Space Marines is pretty good. Oh, so maybe a bit of random? Yeah. Tenso must have gone random here. So repositioning his scouts there, Flows, to make sure they're facing the right direction. I don't know if this guy is. He is. He's just having a bit of a gander at the moment. And Sent's going to completely avoid the scouts, actually, and just go straight for the natural requisition here of Flo. Flo not going for 2 scouts early on. Nor 2 Tax going to be getting the double gens up early. We've got 1 gen up for Tenso. So pretty typical things going on here. I don't think he needed to back off to the yellow cover there. Could have just dropped a deployable cover and easily won a firefight with the scouts there, I think. Yeah, Force Commander's found himself a Lord General to chew up. Going to rotate to the Guardsman, but he's actually quite outnumbered here. He's on his own against 4 units, so not really ideal. Fast stomp from Tenso, which I don't really agree with. I mean, look, especially because he's only fighting 2 units at the start, you really don't need the extra early game pressure. This is going to set him back quite a lot. He's going to get his tier 1.5 out a lot later, and for what? He's not going to use this to push on the farm and drop a last turret, which he could have. That would have been really strong. He could have even gone for flamers. But he didn't. So a big mistake there from Tenso this. He's paying a really big price right now. And these scouts are distracting 2 squads as well. These guardsmen aren't capping. The Sentinel's just going in circles trying to catch them. Yeah, they're doing a beautiful job. They will have to retreat soon. They do risk losing a model. Meanwhile, Tactical Marines doing similar, just going to run into melee with the Guardsmen here. They'll take reduced damage from them being in melee. Reduced damage from ranged attacks, such as that of the Lord General. So that's nice. Yeah, a couple of Guardsmen dead here. So overall, pretty damn good opening here from Flo, given all considerations. He's got his Devastators out. They're going to be advancing through the mid here. Help zone out the Sentinel. Now the Tax can finish this cap and then rotate to the VP, I suppose. Yeah, our Force Commander can take the VP whilst the devs cover him. It's going to be Kadishan Devils out here to combat, well, the Space Marines. Not really a hard counter to the Devastators. Certainly, I think you need to get Kadishans if you're playing the Lord General against the Force Commander, because otherwise he's just going to run rampant in your back lines. Of course, the Lord General himself can support Kadishans, probably the best in tier 1 of any of the IG heroes. I mean, it's not debatable, there's no probably, he can. The medical kit from the Sergeant and his retinue can heal Kadishans massive amounts. It'll basically take them up to full HP per model nearly all the time. And these guys lose models very late due to how many Dialas models they have, so that's very effective. But really overextending the Force Commander there for some reason. Trying to go into melee now with the Kadishans, but can't do it because he's a little bit slow on the tie-up with the Lord General. But he does get it eventually, and a nice stomp there. Going to knock all 3 of the Tactical Marine models out of the cover, vulnerable to the Guardsmen Lasguns, so they're going to have to back out of here. But my question is, what is Flo doing? Why does he not have another squad right now? He's only gone 3 in tier 1. He's going for a fast tier 2, but this seems rather strange. Perhaps... Oh, we rebought the Force Commander. Okay, fair enough. I was going to say perhaps he's saving up the requisition so that he can do a relatively early Stern Guard drop pod call-in in tier 2, which could be quite good. But maybe that was the plan. Maybe not. Either way, he's chosen to just go for repurchasing his Force Commander, which I think is pretty wise because he'd be vulnerable now to Tenso coming in and getting a full gen bash. Again, with those Guardsman Flamers. I think the Guardsman Flamers are so OP now you can just swap out them to Plasma. I feel like IG were designed to not be able to just easily gen bash with side capping units. I think it's too strong. So it's fine for them to have the flamers, but only if there's a long-term ramification in terms of reducing their range and making them not scale. Getting flamers in tier 1 and then swapping out the plasmas, it's really OP. I'm pretty sure Deimos and Cry agree with me, but you know, we don't just want to appeal to authority here. We want to lay out our arguments properly. Regardless, Tenso didn't do that, and so he's going to be really far behind in tech right now. On the plus side for Tenso, he does have a dominant grasp of the map right now. You can see there's only 2 points that are actually caught by Flow. And these 2 that aren't caught by Tenso have been decapped. He's up over 100 points on VPs, but he's got a Razorback coming out. Now normally I would say never go for fast vehicles against IG, but he's so far ahead in tech it's probably going to work. Normally the transitional AV will kind of negate something like a Razorback. You just slap some melter guns on the Lord General, which are not only good against the Razorback, but actually are good against basically all targets. They ignore cover, so they're good against Marines holding cover, and they just do full damage to everything, so really nice. And then you get the missile launch Sentinel, and that can nearly 1v1 a Razorback. Yeah, it's rough. And then you've got another Melter on a Melter Sergeant as well for the Kadashan Devils. But Tenso's not even tier 2, he's now going tier 2, so we've got a timing window here. If he can execute the Sentinel, which he must do with the Razorback right now, if he can take out the Sentinel with the Razorback, that's going to be huge, because then the transitional AV potential of Tenso is going to be really diminished. So surely there's no way it can get out from here. Trying to get the double repairs. Needs to rotate the Razorback around and finish off this Sentinel. It's absolutely vital that he kills this Sentinel right now. Yeah, you've got the tax rotating. They're going to be able to focus fire it along with the Razorback. It should die even with the double repairs. Tax are bleeding models. Yep, goes down. And then you can get the tax out. No problem. Scouts were forced off over here. They're trying to deal with Kadashan Devils, which is a bit tricky. Probably want to rotate the Force Commander to deal with that or something. Well, Tax can deal with that, I guess, in the future. Tax have got a Flamer as well. Yeah, Tax with a Flamer, good counter to the Kadashan Devils. It's funny because they do have fire resist, but they blob up so much with their formation, as you can see, that the Flamer still just does huge damage to them because it hits all models. I mean, they blob up tighter than even Guardsmen. So yeah, that's a big pickup there from Tenso. That's gonna... not for Tenso, for Flow against Tenso. It's gonna really ruin his transitional AV potential, so you see that Tenso now is going for Stormtroopers. You have to assume that these are going to be Melter Stormtroopers to try and ambush this Razorback. Now that's probably something that Flo should anticipate, given that he hasn't fought any tier 2 things from Tenso yet, and he's seen the Sentinel go down. He knows that either a las cannon or Stormtroopers are coming, and I think at this point, with the amount of resources that Flo has, choosing to get one Sergeant on your Scouts wouldn't be that bad of an idea. And imagine if he had the Sergeant here, he'd get a beautiful grenade in retreat against the Kadashans. So there's always good utility. It's less bleed throughout the game as well. I think it would be quite a good choice. But the Tactical Marines with a Flamer going to be taking a quick little ride there on the Razorback and bashing. Good stuff. Lord General's picking up his Melter Guns rather predictably. Here we go, we've got the Melter Guns on the Stormtroopers as well. Coming in from the side, trying to do a bit of an ambush, but look at this. Ooh, what's that? Is that Sternguard? That must be Sternguard, right? Ah, but there's the Melter Bomb. Boom, dead Razorback. It had no armor upgrade, it died very fast, but that's fine. Sergeant coming for the Tactical Space Marines. Sternguard probably should be focusing on the Stormtroopers right now. They're doing way more damage than the Guardsman las guns. They've got Melter Guns. Not to mention that these guys will cost a lot to reinforce, whereas Guardsmen, you know, they're Guardsmen, they don't really cost much to reinforce at all. This is really bad overextension with the tax here. They should have retreated a while ago. As soon as that second Guardsman was forced off, I think they should have retreated. But he keeps the devs in play. He did lose some models for it. It's definitely hurt Flo's economy. He was basically ready to go tier 3 a while back, and he is pushed back quite a bit right now, especially in power. Adding support structure. Very low in power. I'm not sure how much this calling costs for this Sternguard. Must be quite power intensive, but holy shit, I just seen, look at the map. Tenso is literally pushed back to 1 point now. Wow, that's not good. Kadashans are going to go down the sideline in order to push out the base here. Since he's coming down this funnel, he has to use Creeping Basilisk Barrage, which I believe is 200 red. So that's 200 red down the drain there. I mean, he gets out of the base, he did need to use it, but it's not ideal at all. Tenso basically out of red again after calling that in. And Tenso floating quite a lot of power, very, very low on requisition right now, so he needs to be very careful with his Cadishans and his Stormtroopers if he starts bleeding models on them, and also his Lord General, since he's a hero that can bleed. The only hero in the game that can bleed. Yeah, if he starts bleeding a lot of models on these, he's going to be in big trouble. That's going to be tricky. Tactical Marines, Stern Guard can definitely bleed you from afar. I'd like to see the Sacred Standard on the Force Commander as well. Honestly, versus this composition right now, given that he's got the 2 line infantry, might even be an idea to go for the Storm Shield. Of course, you can go for the... Well, you can go tier 3 and get Terminator Force Commander armor. That could also be an idea since he hasn't got any war gears yet for the Force Commander. That's probably what he's going to do. And a nice big timing push here with the main army. Moves the scouts in after he's dispersed the initial defenders. Green cover going to get negated by the Flamer, all these Marines damage buffed up by the battle cry. But Tenso's skirmishing, he doesn't really need the power that badly. Flamer is going to make relatively short work of it, but it's not that big of a deal. Tenso's main problem right now is requisition. And he's getting some work done over here with Cadishans taking points. Once again, Stormtrooper's going to open up on the Devastators. Remember that, again, cover negated by the Melter, so the Flamers do more damage to using cover, but Melters just ignore cover. And unfortunately, he wasn't able to force off the Devastators there, so he is actually going to get tied up. Sorry, he's going to get his units suppressed, which is going to be a problem for Tenso. Force Commander in the middle of that action as well. Pretty yikes, not looking great for him. He's managed to bring the VP situation to parity with his opponent here as Flo. But he's basically trading gens, to be honest. Cadishans don't have their Sarge here, so they don't have that Melter gun, which makes them a lot slower at gen bashing than they otherwise would be. But yeah, we've got the Terminator Force Commander coming in, and this is pretty scary for Tenso. Yeah, this is a good shout, to be honest. He had no war gears on the Force Commander. Why not? I wonder what war gear he's going to go for. Probably is worth going for the Flamer. I mean, God, it's even the Lord General, so even the Lord General will take pretty good damage from the Flamer. Normally it's the heroes that can just shrug off the Flamer, but because the Lord General is a squad, it will do decent DPS to him. A little bit strange that Flo's decided to replace the entire gen farm. I don't think he needs to at this stage of the game replace the entire gen farm. I'm pretty sure he'll be alright for power for quite some time, but we'll see. If he takes no bleed at all in the next few minutes, then perhaps it could be worthwhile. These both fully upgraded. Yeah, they are fully upgraded guardsmen now. Sergeant, Plasmas and Commissars. So they're a decent little fighting force, but still, if they're in cover firefights against things like Stern Guard, they're going to struggle. But if it's out in the open, they will definitely trade very, very cost effectively. Way more cost effectively than the Stern Guard will. So what's the TFC doing? He's just going for the assault cannon. He's kind of playing it safe. It's longer range than the Flamer, but it's a lot less damage against these high model infantry squads. Of course, the other advantage of the heavy Flamer is that you burn down any gens that come up very, very fast. I think the heavy Flamer would have been the better choice here. Also remember, the heavy Flamer is ignoring cover, doing more damage against cover. The assault cannon isn't. It gets negated quite hard by cover, but yeah, it's a pretty decent weapon. 60 piercing DPS. I mean, what, like fucking 1.75 Tech Marines or something? At very long range. It's a lot of damage, and it's on a very durable platform. But talking about a lot of damage, yeah, that's a lot of melters coming out there. You've got the melter guns in the Lord General, and the 5 on the Stormtroopers, and some shotguns too. No Sarge yet, I don't think. That's the 7th model, isn't it? So you use the ability here, fight harder, and it reduces the... oh, well, it increases weapon rate of fire of nearby infantry, and the means by which it does that is it lowers the weapon cooldown. And weapon cooldown is quite high on melter weapons, so it's a disproportionately good ability to increase the DPS of melter weaponry. such as these stormtroopers, and I believe it does affect the Lord General himself. So you've seen the effect there, absolutely melted those tactical space marines. Flow just slow to react, really. And Tenso has actually managed to sneak to tier 3 himself, but he's completely losing his farm right now, so I'm not sure what the plan is. He's going to probably have to get Kassak in, I imagine. Or is he going to try and steal the power? That would be an interesting play. Ah, but the TFC's just retreated back to base. Is this Terminators now as well? Yeah. This is going to be tricky for the guard. Certainly Plasma and Melters will do good damage to the Terminators, but the problem is you just need to outnumber the Terminators, and right now it's 4v4, which is not really great. But if he gets Kassak in, maybe. Tenso's really far behind on VPs at this point as well, though. Really shocked he hasn't got the Sergeant on these Kadashans. It's such a good upgrade. Of course, if the Kadashans can get into melee with the Terminators, they do very well, but that's not going to happen without them taking loads of damage, I imagine. Okay, there's a Lehman Russ. Oh, I forgot he's the Lord General, so he can use the Global to get a huge power discount on his Lehman. And negate the build time. So, wow, that actually is pretty nice for Tenso. Puts him in a decent spot, because Terminator's not great against the Lehman Russ. They can get the Cyclone Missile Launcher, but it will be very expensive for Flow. Lehman takes out the Scout as well. Nice, okay. Taking out the Scout there's good. It's going to reduce the map control potential for Flow quite a lot, because he kind of needs all these units for combat, not for capping. He's got the last kind of set up in a good position here, but that should be relatively predictable. Tenso knew that he had a Devastator, and he also knows that he's had this central position for quite some time. So how's Tenso going to initiate this play? Because he does need to hurry up. He's down to 88 VPs, and he's still bleeding. He leads with a Lehman, which is natural. Both the players can't see one another right now, and there you go. They gain line of sight. Last Cannon goes in and misses it in the shot. The Kadashans mustn't have been able to see the Lehman in the back, but looks like he doesn't win the fight. Tenso doesn't win the fight. He's going to back off. Gets a little bit spooked by the last cannon. Didn't expect that to be there, I'm guessing. We have got the Cyclone Missile Launcher as well. Very, very high anti-vehicle damage if the missiles can hit, but the problem is they fly through the air very slow. So a vehicle like a tank or a transport can evade them quite easily. Now obviously you can negate that by snaring them. So hit them with a last cannon first or a melter bomb. And then they can't move as fast, so it's easier to hit the Cyclone Missile Launcher. Yeah, see there, quite a big wind up, and then the actual missiles themselves are very slow to move through the air. So very easy to evade if you just keep moving. Now the closer the Terminators are to the target, the less time they're going to have to evade it, because you don't have the travel time to contend with. So, like precision here, if they still have the missiles, that would be beautiful. You know. Wow, Sternguard. What the fuck? Sternguard and the last cannon devs just got absolutely... No, not the last cannon devs. They managed to retreat. But Sternguard just got absolutely rinsed there by the Executioner and the Melted Stormtrooper. I mean, Executioner, we've not seen an Executioner tank in a long time in these casts. But this is certainly a good instance for it. Cyclone missiles there, hitting a lot of infantry, but as you can see, not that good against infantry, to be honest. There is a minimum range on the Executioner, which is a little bit problematic, because now he's killing his own troops. Oh my god. See, this is the power of the TFC. He gets his Power Fist along with his ranged weapon here, so he's still a very competent melee unit. I think that's like 85 DPS heavy melee, and obviously that heavy melee can put pressure on the Lehman. Flow going for the Librarian now, going to be giving mobility support to the Terminators, who are currently wrecking some Kadashan Devils. You would assume that the next choice for Tenso would be to get some Kassak in. Maybe some Bulgrins. Bulgrins could be very good, actually. This was a massive waste of a Creeping Bastards Barrage. That was totally unneeded. There was no way the last cannon was out-trading the fucking Lehman Russ here with how much HP it had, and the fact there's Guardsmen behind it to repair. Strange. Very shocked that Tenso kept the Kadashans in play there as well. The Executioner do some big damage. Let's see what can the Cyclone Missile Launcher do. You can see, look at the damage. Medium range. Undodged, it does do a tremendous amount of damage. Feel the time of the last cannon, but they're coming out without full HP. Oh my god. What is he doing? Jesus. Needed to deal with these sneaky little Melter Stormtroopers first. Man, these guys have been the MVPs. They've done amazing. Even in combat, not just sniping that initial Razorback. But even as a combat unit, their Melter Guns are really putting in some work. No scouts to detect them, you see now. Not ideal. And these Terminators kind of need to get back to the base and heal. Very low on HP right now. We're going to be losing models, and Terminator models are very expensive to reinforce. TFC's doing a good job though of zoning out. Terminator is they are slaying the Stormtroopers quite easily. Is this a bunker? Is that going to be a repair bunker or a medi bunker? Another Cyclone Missile Barrage. Does that do a lot of damage to bunkers? Yeah, it does. I thought it did. And he kills the TFC. And last cannon's here again. Man, Flo is really messing up his micro with this. Way too close to the Lehman. And he had Veil of Time, but he used it after the last cannon devs were basically already screwed. So totally screwing up with his last cannon micro there. The advantage of the Librarian is twofold here. You get the Gate of Infinity to teleport the Terminators around, get them back to base for healing a lot faster, and then you also get Veil of Time, which has some support with your TFC and your Terminators. Can help your TFC get faster, chase down the tanks and melee them. Or of course, same with your Terminators, get them out of sticky situations since they can't retreat. But mainly you're probably going to be using that Veil of Time with the last cannon devs and using Gate of Infinity to teleport the Terminators around. I didn't realise, but Tenso is now down to 26 VPs. Which is probably why he built the medical bunker. Trying to keep his Guardsmen in place. So long as the Guardsmen stay in play, he can keep repairing this Lehman Russ. They've got plasma guns as well, so they're going to be putting on some decent pressure against Terminators. And now we've got the Vox Operator as well on the Lord General, which is why he's so speedy. You get a passive speed boost when you have him. You get a passive damage boost when you have the Commissar. So I think Tenso's got this, to be honest. I don't know what Flo's plan is, really. Librarian needs to go into melee with those Melter Stormtroopers. And really that Cyclone Missile Barrage now needs to go onto the bunker. I'm not sure how much damage it does at close range. I feel like it should just one-shot the bunker if you do it at close range where the missile spread isn't too great, so most of the missiles hit the bunker. Predator tank for Flo. Man, he doesn't have a lot of time though, and this is a good creeping Basilisk Barrage. Buying lots of time here for the Lehman and the Plasma to just melt these Terminators. Tenso going to just use his remaining resources to keep reinforcing the Guardsmen throughout this fight. The same main downside to the Executioner, other than the shorter range, is the constant splash being risky to your own Guardsmen if enemy units are in melee with you. Lehman just needs to rotate here and blast the last kind of devs. My god, he really kills the Librarian too. Goodbye. Yep, they're gone. TFC over here is melting some Stormtroopers. That's got to be worth something. But wow, the VPs are getting very low for Flo right now. He's lost the Terminators. Yes, GG. He can't take the natural. He's lost in the mid. Yeah, he brings out the Predator, but there's Guardsmen still to repair. Yeah, you can see the Executioner absolutely ripping this Predator to pieces. Shorter range on the Executioner than other cannons, but just absolutely beautiful DPS, as you can see. There you go. The IG are going to defeat the Space Marines. You have to assume these are Heretic Guard, but I don't know. Sometimes those Space Marines go a little bit crazy. Tenso taking the W. Hope you enjoyed that one, folks. That's going to be all for you, boy Torpid. This time, I am signing out.